There are some habits that help you build success, and then there are habits that quietly keep you from your next level. The hardest part is that many high performers mistake these habits for strengths. They think this is what made me successful, so they just double down on it. But sometimes the very thing that got you here becomes the thing that keeps you small. Today I want to talk to you about the patterns I see most often that keep incredibly capable people from stepping into their next level. One of the times in my own career where one of my what used to be strengths was limiting my growth was when I worked with buyers. I was great at it, worked well with them, but if I really needed leverage, I had to change my habits and I had to focus on sellers and getting more of those, and that meant I had to stop doing buyers. And the point in my career that I realized this, I was actually really pretty successful, which is usually when it's extremely hard to go back and change something because you're so busy and you're, constantly working that you don't have time to stop and slow down and fix whatever you need fixed to go to the next level. So I've seen this happen with other entrepreneurs when maybe their habits is for them just to do everything in their business. Instead of understanding leveraging out the less dollar productive activities so that they can focus on the more dollar productive things in their business. Their lead generation might be one-to-one instead of figuring out how to do lead generation for one-to-many. There's just lots of different ways that what we did in the beginning to get us somewhere isn't really what we need to take us to the next level. I think a lot of high performers confuse being busy by doing lesser productive work. It's work that has to be done, but it doesn't necessarily have to be done by them. And I always have a saying, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should be doing it. I think in the beginning of somebody's career, busy is confused for success because you're just happy you're busy, right? I went from no business to now I'm super busy. So I think some people actually tie it to their identity rather than actually taking the time to look and say, how dollar productive is most of this busyness? Some of the ways that you know it is your results. Your results don't lie, numbers don't lie. And so if you're not getting the results you want, but you feel completely slammed and overworked and busy, then you have to question the work quality and the work that you're actually doing on how dollar productive it actually is, and could it be done by somebody else? I think staying busy is definitely a safe place because it doesn't stretch you or grow you. You're doing things that you feel comfortable doing, that you have the capabilities to do. And when we sit down and really plan and make bigger goals for our life, we now have to get uncomfortable, and most people don't like to be uncomfortable. So there's a difference between movement and progress. I always like to say as a driver, sometimes we can be moving in the wrong direction and think we're good because we're moving. But I think it really matters. Are you moving in the direction that's actually getting you closer to the person you want to become and the goals that you have? Capable people really struggle with letting go or asking for help. And I actually remember being at that place myself. And I think we haven't realized that, first of all, we're not good at everything. So there's somebody always better at something that we need to let go of. But the other thing is, too, I think we feel like it's a sign of weakness. Or maybe we're worried about the quality of the work someone else will do if I give it over to them. And so we just do it ourselves. And we don't ever really look at what is us doing it ourselves rather than letting someone else do it actually costing us. Pretty quickly in my career, handling everything myself hurt me right off the bat because there were certain things that I was not good at, like detail. So it took me longer than somebody who actually is good at it. And so it sucked up a lot of my personal time. And once I saw that I was really letting down some of the key areas of my life, which is my personal life, my family, then I realized that the cost was too great, that I could hire someone who loved doing that kind of work and did it way better than me. And what I would get back would be priceless. I think sometimes entrepreneurs, we don't realize that we may be at something but not really be there. And I remember a time that I went to my son's basketball game and I wasn't really focused. I had business on my mind, probably was on the phone quite a bit. And if you think they don't notice, they do. I mean, he really gave it to me after the game and said, you really weren't. Did you see that one thing I did? And it's like, yeah. I'm like, no, I didn't see it. So I think we have to realize that sometimes being present, it doesn't just mean showing up at the event for our family, but it actually means being present in the moment and paying attention. And if we don't learn to leverage pieces of our business so that we can do that, I mean, it's just a matter of time before we drop those amazing glass balls called our family and things that are important to us. I think sometimes high achievers become the bottleneck for what the big goals are and the big commitments they want to make because they believe in themselves. You know, they've trusted themselves to get to where they are, and it's hard to let go to be honest with you. So mainly we don't let go because we think no one could do it as good as us. Nobody does it the way we do it. Our customers won't accept them. All the lies that we tell ourselves that just aren't true. I think once we understand that the customer just wants the same level of service that they've gotten from you before, they don't really care whether it's you or someone else that gives it to them, then you can let go and understand we're actually going to wind up giving better service because we have people who specialize in certain areas. Some of the things that high performers tolerate is how their time is used. They don't dictate where their time goes, and they don't understand the valuable asset that time is. They let circumstances or situations or other people control their time instead of them controlling their time. Well, there's no way you can get bigger goals without letting go of something that is supporting your lesser goals. So when you choose to keep doing the lesser goals, you're saying no to something that is a bigger commitment that makes a bigger and brighter future for you that you say you want, but your actions say you don't want. I think top performers tend to normalize jumping every time a customer has a need, not thinking through what's the best use of my time right now? Where should my mind be? Where should my attention be? Where should my focus be? And just answer the call of whoever's right in front of them instead of realizing I have a life that I want to design, and to design that I'm going to have to let go of certain things that I continue to do that are habits that aren't really serving me to get there. We're afraid to set big goals because we think they're not realistic, and we have to hang on to this word called realistic. And the truth is, we don't know what's realistic. Until you push the limit, you don't know if it's possible or not. And so I think we use that kind of as an excuse not to go for bigger things or go for things that might scare us a little bit. And I think that's costing us lots of opportunity to become somebody amazing and have an amazing future. Whatever any entrepreneur tolerates becomes their normal, and it's really hard to break out of that cycle. And so what you have to do is stop tolerating the things that don't support the bigger goals that you have. Well, the first thing you have to do is set a goal so big that it forces out all the habits and the things that you're doing that won't work to get you there. Then you're going to be forced to look for different pathways and different habits that are going to actually support that bigger goal. One of the best shifts you can make this week is ask, is my goal big enough to push out the little things and the smaller tasks that I'm doing, or is it actually just keeping me right there and keeping me small? When you ask yourself that, I always like to say, once you know something, you can't pretend you don't. And Dan Sullivan says all progress starts by telling the truth. And I think what it does is it forces you to look at the truth, and you can't pretend something else is going on anymore. So I want to leave you with this. The habits that created your current success may not be the habits that create your next level. Sometimes the very thing that you're most proud of, the way you push, the way you produce, carry everything on your back, is exactly the thing that's keeping you from growing and going to the next level. The goal isn't to work harder. The goal is to grow differently. If this conversation gave language to something that you've been feeling and struggling with, I want you to do two things. Number one, subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram at McKissack Linda. Second, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Which one of these habits do you see most in yourself right now? If you're ready to go deeper and actually work through this in real time, I'll leave the link to the 10X Breakthrough Challenge in the show notes, and I'll see you next time.